All right, so welcome, Delphi. We've been at PowerTrade. We've been working with Delphi on uh, uh, refining our Fuel DAO architecture and governance model. So today we're going to present some of the issues we've been tackling and some of the solutions that Delphi is reporting as recommending, proposing to the community, and we're sharing this for open feedback from everyone in the community. So Jose, I'll let you kick off with the introduction.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks very much for the intro, Tom. And apologies to everyone who was on Discord yesterday, because yeah, Discord's not meant for these things. But yeah, we'll go through it here and give you a good overview. So just a quick intro on Delphi. Some of you probably have heard of us. We're a research firm in the space arm, which is Delphi Labs, where we work with projects on token economic modeling, value accrual, incentive alignment, and also development. So on that side, we've worked with a lot of protocols like Aave, worked on their Avenomics and on their safety module, Compound, Synthetics on their asset listing, risk asset listing framework, Axie Infinity, Scale, and a bunch of others. And then we also have a venture fund. So we've been working with PowerTrade for a while on their token econ. And in this presentation, we kind of want to give you the overview of what we've been looking at and what the model is looking like right now. So general architecture. We're big fans of architectures where sort of because the token holders are governing, they also have skin in the game, and they're also reaping the rewards of that skin in the game. So in this case, that's how it works. The PowerTrade DAO effectively oversees protocol governance and manages the treasury insurance fund, which ensures PowerTrade, the exchange. So the PowerTrade DAO is responsible for treasury and insurance fund management. It's responsible for capital allocation strategy, so allocating treasury resources to yield farm or whatever. Handling incoming claims from the PowerTrade exchange, so insurance claims, and setting the risk parameters for the insurance fund. Eventually, we're trying to build this so that the PowerTrade DAO can be sort of a generalized insurance protocol that can in future insure other exchanges as well. And you'll see that the architecture is generalized for that reason. We think this is pretty unique and interesting because it's kind of one of the. Sorry, Tom, did you want to say something?
No, go for it.
Oh yeah.
Next slide.
No worries. Yeah. So I think it's quite unique and interesting since it's kind of the first time that an exchange is effectively getting insurance from a DAO, and it's quite an interesting relationship to spec out. So the insurance fund obviously will insure all exchange products, and we can go into how that works further on.
Real quick before we get into that, I think it would be helpful if we just kind of walk through like a claims process. So the plan here is essentially, PowerTrade is a margin exchange, and as every margin exchange has this problem where if users don't take care of their accounts properly, they end up getting liquidated, and sometimes the liquidation proceeds don't cover the debt on the account. And so this the Fuel DAO is designed to cover such situations where a user is essentially has a negative balance on the exchange. And this is a problem because that means that if that user has a negative balance, then the winners and the rest of the traders on the exchange won't have enough funds to trade or to withdraw. And so the exchange needs to be made whole. Now, we can't count on the users to pay off their debt. And so this is the point of the DAO that covers these sorts of events. So the general process is when this happens, the submits a claim to the DAO. So the details of the event, why the liquidation happened, what the liquidation process was, and why that liquidation didn't cover that user's account are submitted in that claims process. And then the DAO votes, and typically they would probably be covering those events. So they would vote to cover, and then what happens is that a token that represents $1 worth of capital from the treasury is issued to the exchange, and then that token can be redeemed for from funds in the treasury. So if the treasury has enough funds to cover that token that's issued, then it's pretty simple. We just claim the funds with that token, pull them out, and return them to the balance sheet. However, in the case where the treasury doesn't have enough funds, then that token from the DAO essentially becomes a debt token. And so how that debt is paid is something that we've been discussing. In case something like that happens, where the treasury doesn't have enough funds and the DAO has this outstanding debt, we have a couple of different ways to kind of prevent the DAO from getting into that situation, but also handle situations where there is this debt and different ways to repay that. So Jose is about to talk about some of those methods.
Yeah, that was great context. Appreciate that. And so the staking dynamics, we went with sort of a tranche system that learns from a lot of what's been done in crypto so far. So the first tranche is a treasury or insurance fund, which is in USDC, and this will grow as fees grow, and we'll go into fee flow later on. So as sort of the fees that the exchange generates grow, the treasury fund will grow. But initially, because sort of the exchange will obviously start from scratch, there will be yield available in PTF to USDC stakers who stake into the insurance fund, who are helping to effectively bootstrap the insurance fund and make sure that exchange users are safe in the way that Tom outlined previously. These will be locked for time periods of kind of 3 to 12 months, and there will be multipliers available on rewards for users willing to lock up for longer time periods. And then the second tranche are the PTF stakers, who will be staking into the PowerTrade DAO directly and receiving XPTF back, which represents their share of the DAO and grants them governance and cash flow rights. So these are the users who actually govern the risk parameters of the DAO, who govern the insurance fund, and who vote on claims and all of that. Now, in case there's a shortfall event, as Tom was describing, you have this 3-tranche insurance fund architecture, where the first tranche is the fee pool that is collected from the exchange operations. So the percentage of fees that flows directly to the insurance fund. The second tranche is the external USDC that's staked by users in order to bootstrap the exchange, and for which they're earning a return in PTF. And the third tranche is the staked PTF, which up to 30% of this is sold and auctioned off to make the exchange users whole. And then obviously, if all of these aren't enough to cover the claim, then there's kind of 2 options to consider. The first one being a mint, and the second one being a debt token, as described by Tom. And I think right now we're leaning towards the debt token being the more sustainable option, especially as PowerTrade sort of grows and establishes itself. Anything to add here, Tom?
Yeah, so I just want to point out that this tranche 1, that fees pool, the initial agreement between the DAO and the PowerTrade exchange is that PowerTrade will be providing 25% of the trading fees into that pool. So that pool basically fills up based on the trading activity on the exchange and the fees being charged on the exchange. So that's the first line of defense, and that's kind of what is that's the first tranche of capital that's at risk, and then we move up these tranches as if the capital is depleted.
Yeah, and so and that's how the fee flow works as well. So the idea is that PowerTrade, so 25% of the exchange fees on PowerTrade are flowing to the DAO in some form. 80% of those flow directly to the treasury or insurance fund, and then 20% are flowing to PowerTrade DAO stakers in exchange for governing the protocol. Now, once the treasury or insurance fund is sufficiently capitalized, and this is a threshold that's determined by governance and using some risk methodology that we're still establishing, that we can go into later, then the remainder of the fees will be flowing directly to PowerTrade DAO stakers. Yeah, and anything to add there, Tom?
No.
Cool. Yeah, so the risk methodology here is really important because the key thing is that the DAO establishes its own risk methodology for how it wishes to assess the exchange and its own sort of reserves. And so there's a lot of different ways to do this. In the next slide we have like some of our initial methodology that we've put together. But the idea is that there needs to be a target fee pool size that needs to be maintained at all times to make sure that the DAO is sufficiently capitalized to cover any shortfall event that can happen on the exchange. And then any delta in fees, and that there needs to be a sufficient buffer there to make sure that exchange users are safe. But any delta sort of above that will accrue to PTF stakers who are effectively taking the risk and governing this relationship. And this will be monitored and updated accordingly as the exchange goes live. And this is sort of some initial risk methodology we put together from the insurance market to kind of figure out how this could be done. And I think we're doing a lot of work on this with PowerTrade and also engaging risk specialists to kind of figure out initially what the best risk methodology is. And any risk methodology used will have to be approved by the DAO and will also be updated and sort of updated and looked at regularly to make sure it's relevant given the new products that the exchange launches, given growth in open interest and volume, etc.
Yeah. So the important thing here is that it's basically establishing this I don't know, a watermark of funds that, right, if the exchange has this much risk that it needs covered, that the DAO always has enough capital available, and so it's incentivized to the incentives are designed to accrue that much capital, whatever that number is that we need to have in the treasury to cover any events. It's incentivized to cover those.
Exactly. Yeah, it can be thought of similar to the sort of minimum capital requirement in Nexus Mutual, establishing a number like that the DAO needs to keep in reserves, with everything above that being sort of can be thought of as the sort of profit that's accruing to governance, to governors who have skin in the game and are making the decisions that enable this profit to be achieved.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's it on our side. We're working on some. Well, there's some more benefits to being an XPTF staker that we're not revealing here, but will be revealed soon. And we've also designed the liquidity mining and token distribution incentives, which I think we'll also be announcing fairly soon.
Cool. Yeah. So to summarize, I guess we have a couple of different ways to ensure that the DAO has enough capital to cover these events, and we've got a few different staking methods coming that so folks can stake their PTF directly or stake USD directly, and take on a different type of risk than your LP token risk. So yeah, that's the general summary. Thanks, Jose, for presenting this and working with us on this. And you guys are going to prepare, I think, some materials that people can read as well and give some feedback on. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. And we'll also be available. We'll be available kind of on Discord or on Twitter to answer any questions on this and kind of engage with the community. But we'll be preparing some materials that kind of summarize this for people to be able to read and feedback.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time to present this, and look forward to the next one with you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to PowerTrade launching and seeing this in action. I think it'll be super interesting.
Cool. Cheers.